Boy, has it been a long time coming. 5-year-old game No Man's Sky is making its way to the Nintendo Switch, and we're going to talk about it right here in the LZ. My fellow travelers, you have stumbled into the LZ at 30 frames per second, and 5 years late for the No Man's Sky Switch Edition that was just announced today on the Nintendo Direct just moments ago. And what a pleasant surprise. So I've got some questions right out of the gate, and I know what you're already thinking. I can hear you asking it. How in the living hell is this game running on a Nintendo Switch? And there's gotta be some kind of magic. Now, I don't want to gloat, but your boy's been screaming this for a couple of years now that it was time for Nintendo to come, or for Nintendo and the Switch to get No Man's Sky to some capacity. It would be great to experience this game on a handheld level. But the question was always, well, just how do you get something like this running? A CPU-intensive, number-crunching, procedurally generated game like this, a game that generates entire effing planets that you can walk on. And from the trailer that we see there, first off, it is definitely running at a lower resolution, and it's definitely running at a slower frame rate. So what I'm not seeing, though, is a ton of pop-in, which I kind of expected to see on a No Man's Sky Nintendo Switch version. So it looks like they've handled this port surprisingly well. It does look a little clunky, which, again, I expect for a game like No Man's Sky. It's not a super graphically intensive game. They have done a ton of improvements, which we'll get to over, the next parts of the video here. But speaking of support, if you're a Nintendo Switch player and you are curious about No Man's Sky, let me give you a little bit of story. You may have heard that No Man's Sky launched in a really terrible state about 5 years ago. Since then, every single update that the game has gotten, which is about 17 or 18 updates, have been free of charge, and most of them were phenomenal. So you're going to get the base game and all of the additional updates for free for No Man's Sky. And if you had any reservations about No Man's Sky, I'm here to tell you, and I'm biased because, of course, I've covered a lot of No Man's Sky, but if you look at the Steam ratings, it's overwhelmingly positive now, or it's mostly positive. So they have completely turned the train around, and it's in such a powerful position now that No Man's Sky has become the game and much more than what was originally thought it would be 5 years ago. So that's what you are getting now. Now, one thing I've seen that's been asked so far about this is this being streamed to the Switch, and I don't know. Like I've watched the trailer a couple of times, and it doesn't. You would think that it would mention something like that, or it would say an internet connection is required, or it is required for you to have this particular internet connection, or straight up that it is streaming and not native. Everything that I'm seeing so far from what I'm seeing in the trailer looks like it is running natively on the Switch. We could be wrong. Nothing has been said by Sean Murray and Hello Games yet, and nothing has been said by Nintendo from what I could see. But one thing that I'm convinced of, it looks like it's just too low resolution, and it looks like it is literally running at a native level on the Nintendo Switch. So I don't think this is the streaming. And then if it was the streaming aspect of it, then it would be running at a more graphically intensive and probably a higher frame rate. If the Switch could run at higher frame or stream at higher frame rates, I don't know that that would be an issue. So I am convinced that this is right now, with what information we have, it is running natively on the Nintendo Switch. Nintendo fans, what I'll also tell you is that you are running, if you're buying into No Man's Sky now, you are coming into one of the greatest communities on the internet when it comes to video games. Everybody's an explorer. Everybody's excited about the game. Everybody's hyped for new updates. This is the first we've heard from No Man's Sky in about 6 months. So clearly they've been working on this for about a while. Their Reddit, the subreddit for, I think it's r No Man's Sky the game. Go over there. Fantastic community too. They take a lot of screenshots screenshots. They post a lot of funny memes, and it's not a toxic community. It's just a great group of folks. Highly recommend that too. If you have any other questions or want to know more about No Man's Sky, throw them into the comments down below in the comments section. And of course, you can follow me and all of my other friends over at the LZ Tweets on Twitter. Check the description below for all of those useful links. And like and subscribe for more No Man's Sky content in the future. Good to see you, and see you in the next one.